I have to say Mathieu van der Poel. I thought last week he was going to be the big favorite. I thought at least that he was going to be able to stay with Pogacar. Well, that wasn't the case, so I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong this week by predicting Mathieu van der Poel. Of course, we all know that there's another element in Paris-Roubaix which nobody can predict, nobody can plan for, and that's material problems, punctures, crashes. They will happen. And so it's going to depend which of these favorites is saved from a bad fortune, right?
Hi, I'm Spencer Martin, along with Johan Bruyneel, and this is Outcomes. Outcomes is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Please gamble responsibly, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, seek help from a professional resource. Hosts and guests may have financial interest in the bets discussed. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Everybody, welcome back to Outcomes. I'm Spencer Martin. I'm here with Johan Bruyneel. We are predicting the 2005 edition of Paris-Roubaix, probably the most famous, at least in the U.S., famous races outside of the Tour de France. One-day race, 260 kilometers long, with 30 brutal cobbled sectors packed into the last 165 kilometers. Johan, how do you, we'll get your take on how this is going to play out and who's going to win, but let me read the betting odds. This is on Unibet in Europe. The U.S. prices are similar. Like your U.S. books would be like FanDuel, DraftKings are the two biggest ones. BetMGM has been having some pretty good cycling prices on it recently, so make sure you hunt around for the best price. The favorite is the defending champion, Mathieu van der Poel, plus 200. Tadej Pogačar, last week's winner, plus 400, which is we'll talk about the kind of interesting that he's plus 400 and he was negative last week. Like usually these two races are correlated, so it could be value there. Wout van Aert, plus 450. Mads Pedersen, plus 500. Filippo Ganna, plus 900. Jasper Philipsen, second place the last 2 years, plus 1,000. Stefan Kung, plus 5,000. Jasper Stuyven, plus 5,000. Jonathan Milan, plus 6,600. Josh Tarling, plus 6,600. Florian Vermeersch, plus 6,600. It goes on and on. The winner probably won't come from down there, though. Johan, who do you think is going to win, and how is it going to play out?
Spencer, we've talked about it before the show, right? Unfortunately, we have to talk always about the same riders because they're so dominant. San Remo, Tour of Flanders, and Paris-Roubaix, especially, the other two monuments, Liège, Bastogne-Liège, and Tour of Lombardy are different courses, of course. But I have to say Mathieu van der Poel. I thought last week he was going to be the big favorite. I thought at least that he was going to be able to stay with Pogacar. Well, that wasn't the case, so I was wrong. But I don't think I'm going to be wrong this week by predicting Mathieu van der Poel. Of course, we all know that there's another element in Paris-Roubaix which nobody can predict, nobody can plan for, and that's material problems, punctures, crashes. They will happen. And so it's going to depend which of these favorites is saved from a bad fortune, right? I've heard that Van der Poel is recovered from his illness. We didn't know that last week, but apparently he had been sick before Tour of Flanders for 3 days. He also had a crash in the Tour of Flanders. Apparently he's recovered from all of that. I also think that his pride is hurt really bad after being dropped from Pogacar last week. And he has a strong team. And he knows the race. He's a two-time winner already. Plus, I think in terms of technique on the cobblestones, he's the best in the world. That's why I'm going to pick Mathieu van der Poel, plus 200. I think it's good. It's positive odds. It's not great, but if there's no bad luck involved, I think Mathieu van der Poel is going to win Paris-Roubaix for the third time.
Yeah, the reason it's plus 200, pretty good odds actually for a guy who's won it 2 times in a row and is very strong this year, is the equipment. I guess let's call it like possibilities, because you could turn it on with 150K to go on Sunday, and it's like, oh, he's got a flat and he's chasing 2 minutes behind. Oh, he's got another flat. You can just have all these problems. It's more unpredictable because of the cobblestones than a normal race. If Van der Poel did win this, he would be the first person since Francisco Moser to win 3 in a row. That was in 78, 79, 1980. Yeah, I could see it, but And I guess he was sick according to his team manager, but let's not forget he was setting fastest times he's ever done up the Quermont. Like, he was racing pretty well last weekend. Like, you would say maybe the best he's ever raced. Like, all those guys were racing faster than they've ever raced on that course, and they got beat by Pogačar. So that leaves me a little concerned. Like, is he, and it's hard to know exactly what's going on. Like, you could imagine, I guess, being sick and then getting better, or are we just seeing the natural, like, downslope of the amazing form he was on at San Remo?
Decline, yeah.
But as you say, what's been haunting me as I've been thinking about this is the technique, man. I was watching like the last few years, and he is unbelievable over the cobblestones. Can Tadej Pogačar be that good? Maybe. He's very good. He's a very good bike handler, but Van der Poel is unbelievable.
Yeah, there's nothing we can put past Pogačar nowadays, Spencer. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but the guy can do it all.
I'm going to go with he's had a little bit of problems on the cobblestones. Maybe not quite as smooth as Van der Poel, but I thought he looked good last week. Wout van Aert plus 450, and I would pick Van Aert because I thought he looked pretty impressively strong, actually, when they got dropped on the Quermont. Van der Poel looked like someone pulled a plug out. He just fell down that climb. Van der Poel looks pretty good, like maybe the strongest chasing at the top of the climb. Van Aert. Maybe this harebrained theory of like going to altitude, skipping a lot of the spring races is starting to pay off, and we just didn't see it last year. Like, it never got played to completion because he crashed out at Dwarfs-Vlaanderen, and he could be coming into the best. But the main thing I keep thinking about is this is so different than Flanders, because at Flanders, Pogačar can just say, hey, like, there's a lot of people here. I'm outnumbered, but there's going to be really hard climbs. I'm going to drop everybody on these climbs. I'm not stressed. But, if Van Aert starts attacking, or any of these guys, like, what happens? Like, who's pegging that back? Well, they have teammates to do it. And Van Aert won't be one of the main March riders. So I think, like, combination of building form, he's obviously very good on this course. Like, the year Van der Poel's first win, when Van Aert flatted, he looked very good then. Yeah. I think that's the last time he raced this event. He's pretty good, plus 450, pretty good odds. I think we could see Van Aert win his first Paris-Roubaix on Sunday.
Plus, Spencer, I don't know if you followed the news a little bit. Visma has a secret weapon with their self-inflating and deflating wheel system. It's called Grava. It's the same system that Marianne Vos used in the World Championships gravel, which she won against Lotte Kopecky. It's something that they have been testing. They've been wanted to try. Then they decided not to use it, but they're using it on Sunday. I know somebody who has been on the course and has tested because apparently Cervelo put for a few influencers and a few people who give commentary on TV. They put at their disposal some bikes with the system. So basically, it's a system with in the hub. Both of the hubs have a little pump inside, and there's a little tube that goes to the valve. And from the handlebars, you can inflate and deflate your tire pressure. Van Aert has been training with it. They are going to use it. And I think it's a huge advantage in Paris-Roubaix. Because let's not forget, it's 260K, but it's 55 kilometers cobbles. There's still 205 kilometers not cobbled. The system is actually quite impressive. When you have two buttons, which is already pre-programmed with an app. And but just before you get to the cobbles, if you want to, how do you say that? Deflate or de-inflate?
Yeah, deflate.
Deflate. Yeah. It's instantaneously. It takes 2 or 3 seconds, and you go to the desired pressure. And then after the cobble section, it depending how long the sector is in between, it takes up to a minute to inflate again or a minute and a half, because it's self-generating. It's a self-generating energy, which then is used to pump up the tire. It adds 400 grams to the bike, but in a race like Paris-Roubaix, I think that's the advantage. It is higher than the added weight. Because it's mainly a flat race, and also the added weight is also in motion. It's a circle, it's a movement. I'm curious to see, but it's a huge advantage. And as far as I know, the teams that are on Shimano are not using it. So Alpecin is not using it. UAE is not using it. Ineos is not using it. Don't know about Red Bull. They're on SRAM, I think. But it's I think it's mainly for the moment Visma, because they have helped develop it and have tested it. So it's probably available already, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to use it. In the rules, it says, okay, whatever equipment you use, it has to be commercially available. But I think that for this year, the other teams have not had any time on it to test, and so they probably won't use it.
You could imagine this being quite helpful. Also, SRAM, just the difference between SRAM and Shimano, I feel like SRAM is always like, yeah, we got this new tech, let's try it. And Shimano always like holds back longer. But this is where you could imagine this being quite useful, because imagine like the Arenberg Forest, extremely rough cobblestones. Like a rider in the race told me last year, if you were on a full suspension mountain bike, you'd think this isn't enough. Like it's that rough. And then you leave the cobblestone sectors, and a lot of times that's when the moves go, when you go back onto the pavement. So if you could increase your pressure back up, like that's a huge advantage once you get back on the pavement. You're launching moves, everyone else is stuck in the proverbial mud.
Yeah, and not to forget also, Spencer, the final of Paris-Roubaix after Carrefour de l'Arbre, the final, I need to check, but the final 15-20K, there's no more cobbles.
Yeah, and you're sprinting on a
sprint.
Sprint.
So I think technically it's, you could probably say to a certain extent it's kind of unfair, but anyways, it's available. So everybody has had the opportunity to check it out, right? But it's going to be used on Sunday, and then I think it's going to become very popular, especially also in gravel races.
Yes,
where there's a lot of different surfaces, and it's great. I've been following the development a bit, but it's apparently it's improved. I remember last year's World Championships gravel women's. So as I said, Marianne Vos won against Lotte Kopecky in the sprint with that system. But the interview of Lotte Kopecky after the race was, I knew there was nothing I could do, because every time we came off a sector, I heard her tires were inflating again. So if you think about the watts that I'm losing here compared to her, she was mentally broken already before the sprint.
And Bradley Wiggins told me something interesting that I never thought about. He said when you run tubeless on the cobblestones, your pressure decreases all day because you're burping out small amounts of air. So if you start at 4.4 bar, you might finish at 4 bar. And being able to like replenish the air that you're burping out is a huge advantage, because everyone else is just getting lower and lower. You also mentioned the weight. We should talk about that. This is probably the one race of the year where the heavier you are, the bigger advantage it is, because there's so few, there's such little climbing. I mean, I think the beginning is rolling, but once you're on the cobblestones, it's very flat. Like that's why Mathieu van der Poel, Wout van Aert, not so much Mads Pedersen, Filippo Ganna, Stefan Kuhn, Jasper Stuyven, Jonathan Milan, those guys are huge, massive, and it won't penalize them because it's just all about power. How much power can you put out? On that note, who's your second pick? Do you think Tadej Pogačar can win this?
Well, I mean, so you're picking Van Aert, right? As your first
He's
pick?
my number one. Wout van Aert.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I think Wout van Aert on Sunday is going to be stronger than last Sunday. It seems like, his peak is just now. So plus with the confidence. It would be almost a miracle, but as I said, we can't put anything past this guy, Tadej Pogačar. First participation, no experience in the race with the pros. I think he's done it as a junior, Paris-Roubaix, but nothing compared to this. But he's right now. I think he's 66 kilos or 65 kilos. I think he can win it too. If you see the way he rides on the cobbles, here I think he has the advantage that he's not the main favorite, so he's a bit of the underdog. Whatever, if he wins, great, but if he doesn't win, who cares, right? I think he can use that to his advantage. And he knows there's only 2 or 3 guys he needs to watch out for. It's Van der Poel and Van Aert and Pedersen and Ghana, basically. So Tadej Pogačar is my second pick, especially because last week he burned me, and I don't want to be burned. I don't want to be burned again. I would feel very stupid if Pogačar wins and I didn't pick him.
Well, just like last week, it'd be very easy to sit here and say, where is Tadej Pogačar going to drop these guys? He can't do it. He's not big enough. He doesn't have enough power. And he's your pick, so I'm not going to steal him. But something that I was surprised by is so much overthinking when it comes to Roubaix. There's all these theories. Does being tall help because you can look over everybody and have a better line of sight? A lot of times, it's just the riders that do well at Flanders do well at Roubaix. Roubaix had some like it didn't happen in 2020. It got moved to the fall in 2021. If you take those 2 out, it's like 7 out of the last 13 editions where they've lined up riders that won Roubaix finished on the podium at Flanders. So, and it's like, I think it's 4 people won both just in the last 13 years. So a lot of times it's as simple as who's on really good form, because Flanders is a fitness test. Like if you can podium at Flanders, you're really, really fit. And you'll probably do really well at Paris-Roubaix. So that would be the case for Tadej Pogačar. Just like, don't overthink it.
Pogačar's favor also is the equipment nowadays. I think the compensation of the more lightweight of all the favorites with the material right now, and especially the width of the tires, lower tire pressure is a benefit for lighter guys like Pogačar.
Is that because if you were, let's say, on 25s or 28s, whatever you used to run back in the day, and it's jacked up to 5 bar, like 6 bar, are you like flying off the cobblestones if you're too light?
Yeah, it's a lot different. You're not you're kind of humping from one cobblestone to the other. It's actually amazing if you see the images now from even 20 years ago. Like when Mathieu and Bonen were there. These tires were not that big, I think 27 was the biggest tire. Now in almost all the races they're using 30. I'm pretty sure that in Paris-Roubaix a lot of teams are going to be on 32. I remember last year Van der Poel was on 30 millimeter tires. I wonder what he's going to use now, but I'm going to guess Pogačar is going to use at least 32 millimeter tires.
I remember even it might have been, 10, 15 years ago, like Tour Hushoff got second and they were on rim brakes, obviously. So how big you can't fit that big a tire in. And like Cervelo moved the brake bridge up, probably would be illegal now. It was like a non-compliant bike that they moved the brake bridge up and they put like 28s in and people's mind were blown. Or maybe it was 30s and like, whoa, that's way too big. And you'd probably like Dugast make, it's like all these sew-ups that they were sewing just for... Yeah, like
there was Dugast, and then there was another brand. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was not FMB or FBM.
Yes,
FMB. Something like that. It was also handmade, and I remember because we always had the problem. We had our tire sponsor, and then the guys for Paris-Roubaix wanted Dugast, so we had to, like with a marker, we had to make sure that you couldn't see the brand, right? Almost all the teams did that. For Paris-Roubaix, almost nobody was on the tires that they were sponsored of. Nowadays, it's different, of course. One thing that also in Van der Poel's case, I don't want to jinx it, but they were on Vittoria and they changed tire sponsor this year to Pirelli. I hope they're as good as the Hutchinsons, because as the Vittorias, because the Vittorias last year of Van der Poel, they were really good. They were amazing.
I mean, I feel like they've been getting more flats, but I could just be seeing things because they've changed tires and it's on my mind. But Before we get into some wild cards, some interesting longer odds, let's take a quick ad break and we'll be right back. Everybody, this episode is brought to you by Caldera Lab. Let's be honest, cycling is not great for our skin. Whether we're out riding on warm, sunny days or through cold, dry conditions, our skin is going to need a little bit of help. And that's exactly what Caldera Lab is here for. Their high-performance skincare is designed specifically for men. It's simple, effective, and backed by science. They have a wide variety of skincare products, but two of my favorites are, the first one is the base layer. It's a nutrient-rich moisturizer infused with plant stem cells and snow mushroom extract. It absorbs fast, leaves a non-greasy matte finish, so my skin feels hydrated without the shine. And outside of using it on my face, I've been using, I don't even know if I'm supposed to tell everybody this, but I've been using it on my legs after I shave my legs for cycling. If you shave your legs a lot and you live in a dry environment, you know that they can get really dry and irritated. The base layer is going to solve that problem for you. Also, another one that's great for cycling, the Clean Slate. It's a morning and night face wash made with plant-based ingredients and gentle PHAs, and it gently rebalances natural oils and exfoliates your skin, and it's great for washing all that road grime and sunscreen off your face when you come back from a long day in the saddle. And in addition to many other things that are great about this brand, they're plastic neutral. So every product comes in a fancy glass packaging. And in addition to knowing that you're not, contributing to plastic, just overrunning the earth with plastic, you feel fancy. You feel like a lord and a manor when you pull out these glass packages and you're washing your face, moisturizing every morning. I cannot recommend it enough for making you feel like you've gone on vacation to a fancy resort without leaving your home. So remember, skincare doesn't have to be complicated, but it should be good. And upgrade your routine with Caldera Lab and see the difference for yourself. All you have to do is go to calderalab.com/themove, spelled out THEMOVE, and use code THEMOVE at checkout for 15% off your first order. Again, that's calderalab.com/themove and use code THEMOVE at checkout for 15% off your first order. All right, back to the show. So, Johan, we've been bold. We've covered Van der Poel, Pogacar, Van Aert, but assuming one of those riders doesn't win, and it's actually it gets hard to imagine how that would happen because these guys go from so far out now and they're so good. That's why you just see the same people win. It's hard for anyone to anticipate and get ahead of the race. Like if you think back to Johan van Summeren, he just anticipated and then there was a stalemate behind. But one guy I'm pretty curious about, and I think he's going to be very, very excited for Sunday. I think I said tomorrow. I meant Sunday. Very excited for Sunday because he's been handicapped, basically. He has to go up the climbs with these very light gentlemen. But Filippo Ganna, plus 900. I bet on him like a month ago at plus 2,000. He must be licking his chops because it's like, okay, skinny boys, now you have to meet me on the flats and we're going to go pedal stroke for pedal stroke over cobblestones, which he's pretty good on, by the way. I think if Ganna wins, like if Ganna's going to win a monument, it's this one. Oh yeah. And at plus 900, especially with how good he's been this spring, he's a pretty intriguing pick to me. He's my wild card.
He's been on amazing form. Also, let's not forget, he's very fast. And there's nobody of these guys who has more experience on the track than Filippo Ganna. It's after 260K, yeah, but still, it's still on a track. So, he's probably not going to be as marked as Van der Poel and Van Aert. So there could be a scenario. Last week he was in a break and he was in front already before the big guns started in Flanders. So why not? Yeah, I like that one. Plus 900 on top of that. That's a really good price.
Unlike Flanders, Roubaix is a rare race where you can get caught. You can be in the break, get caught and still win, like Matt Heyman, if you remember that one. Yeah. Flanders, it's just too hard. You'll get dropped at the end. It's not, you can't really latch on from the breakaway. Also, and you mentioned the sprint. That did remind me, and you would think Roubaix would have more solo winners in other races. It actually is fewer. Like I believe between 2013 and now, there's only been 4 solo winners, and 2 of those were Van der Poel last year and the year before, and then Van Barle the year before that. So the last 3 editions have been solo winners. But a lot of times you get these, think of Mathieu Van der Poel in 2021. He loses it because Sonny Cabrali outsprints him on the velodrome. it can help to have velodrome sprinting experience. It can help a lot at this race. Was it Sepp? You remember Sepp Venmark? Did he lost to Fabian Cancellara, kind of like mismaneuvered on the velodrome and then lost that race. But yeah, I like Ghana a lot. I mean, some of these other ones you could imagine, like Stefan Kung. He was another guy that was in the breakaway last week.
Yeah, but a guy like Kung, he's strong. He's riding really well. He's going to be in the front. He's going to try to make a move. But to win, a lot of things need to happen, The only other guy that I see really with chances to win from the favorites, we haven't picked him because we're only entitled to 2 riders. But, it's Mats Pedersen, of course. I think this is probably the race that suits him the best. The guy's a warrior, always gives it his all. And we saw in Flanders that he's an amazing. I mean, we saw against Wevelgem, but also Flanders, he was incredible.
Yeah, he was clearly on amazing.
And this race suits him better than Flanders. And on top of that, I would say, I haven't looked at all the teams, but I dare to say that Little Trek probably has the strongest team for Paris-Roubaix of the whole peloton.
Well, the interesting thing about, Little Trek probably does have the strongest team. There's multiple people on this list you could see winning the race, but like Jonathan Milan probably won't even be in position to contest it. Especially like he has a long time, he's like pedigree on the track, but he's kind of new to the road. It would seem like an odd race to come in and be like, I'm new to the road, I'm going to win this. But like Jasper Stuyven, he's plus 5,000 and he's gotten 4th, 5th, and 7th here. He would have to win it, though. Same thing with Kung. You'd be like, well, he'd have to get out in front of the race. And the problem with getting out in front of the race these days is if Van der Poel or Pogačar go, they're going to eat up so much time. I'm kind of curious to see what happens. Like if someone does anticipate, I do think one of Stuyven, Stuyven, Ghana, Milan, Kung will probably be in the early breakaway just to put pressure on the favorites behind. But I don't know. I mean, I'm scarred by you remember last year, he put so much time in everybody when he attacked. Like, could you even anticipate that move? Like if he's on form, is there any amount of buffer that could save you? No.
Plus it was incredibly fast. It was mainly tailwind. And his team already set a really hard pace. I personally think it's going to be super fast again. So breakaways, I'm not very optimistic that a breakaway can get enough time to then make it with the selection when the big guys go. The weather, it's a bit unclear. There's certain reports that there might be showers in the morning. Whether that's already in the race or not, but if it rains during the night, it looks like it's going to rain during the night, those cobbles are going to be wet. And so the first 4 or 5 sectors, I would recommend everybody to watch on TV already from the beginning, because that's going to be carnage.
Yeah, and that goes back to favoring probably our 2 guys, our first 2 picks, Van der Poel and Van Aert, because who knows? Pogačar can seemingly do whatever he wants, but it's blowing my mind to consider a Tour de France contender. The top Tour de France contender, I guess, is going to be at the front, leading into the cobblestones at Paris-Roubaix.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. It is crazy. And that's where a race would end. If you're imagining like this all going really bad for Pogačar, it probably is those first few sections. Like even on TV, I mean, you can feel the violence through. It's really almost uncomfortable to watch. You can tell how much they're fighting to be at the front, like the nerves, the anticipation. So that will be key to the race. Probably won't rain during the race on Sunday. Could be gusty wind, like let's say it's crosswind with some tailwind on key cobbled sectors. Who does that help, you think?
The guys who are in the front. The guys who are I'm just checking the teams here, Spencer. So actually, okay, Little Trek has a strong team, but man, Alpecin, the Koenig has a strong team too. Visma has a strong team, although they're missing Tiesj Benoot and Mathieu Jorgensen, but they still have a strong team. And Pogacar's team is strong too. The first 4 teams of the big favorites really have a very strong team composition.
The thing I like about Alpecin is that it's just such a focused team around. Yeah. I mean, you have Philipsen who can kind of play his own card, but that causes a lot of problems for Van der Poel's rivals. Like everything is just built around Van der Poel there, which I really
and Philipsen, 2-time second in the last 2 editions. If he has some kind of decent legs, he's gonna be there. He knows this race already. This is obviously a race that suits him. And who's gonna ride with Philipsen, right?
He's a chase killer.
If Van der Poel attacks, they will have to ride with him. But then at the finish, they're kind of screwed.
Yep. Yeah, he's an anchor on any group he's in. I think Van Aert, I would pick Van Aert over Van der Poel just because of the odds, but I think Van der Poel is a very decent pick, obviously.
It's an unknown in this sense, Spencer, that we don't know exactly how recovered Van der Poel is from that illness. What we do know, however, is that the curve of the form of Van Aert is in crescendo. It's on the up. That's clear. He was much better in Flanders than in all the other races before. His confidence must be really high. He has really good equipment. He would deserve to win a big race, man. I would really be happy if Van Aert wins.
I almost don't even want to talk about it too much. I just want to see it. I want to be excited for it, but potentially my emotions are getting in the way. But I think if you really want a big payout, Ghana's the best pick because a lot of these look appealing, like Josh Tarling plus 6,600. Well, it's like so much has to go right for Josh Tarling to win. Stefan Kung, so much has to go right, where Ghana just has to get to the velodrome with the top guys and he could win a sprint. And it's not a Hail Mary. I mean, Ghana's been there with everybody on courses that don't even really suit him. So he should be this is like on his turf now. They have to come into his office and it's not going to be as easy to get rid of him. But do you have any more on Roubaix? I have a few Basque Country questions to ask you before we go, just for fun, if we're done with Roubaix.
Yeah. I think that's it for Roubaix.
So by the way, it's on Sunday in the US. It's on Peacock. It's an ASO race, so it's the same setup as the Tour de France for viewing. I assume it's on Max, Eurosport, TNT Sports, Discovery Plus, whatever. It's different in every country in Europe, but on one of those in Europe. So Tour of the Basque Country, we have to convene an emergency meeting here, Johan, because João Almeida is leading a stage race by 30 seconds over Max Schachmann, 38 seconds over Florian Lipowitz, 49 seconds over Ilan Van Wilder, 50 seconds over Mateusz Skelmoza with one stage remaining. And also Ben Healy, by the way, if you didn't see today's stage at Tour of the Basque Country, holy smokes, wins like a really long 56K long solo victory. So Ben Healy back to doing Ben Healy things, but João Almeida, he on stage 4, he just rode everybody off his wheel on a climb.
Incredibly strong, yeah.
Really, like my son kept saying, like they're right there. Why can't they catch him? It's like because the dude is motoring, like
and it was like 20%. He was really strong. I mean, listen, at some point he's going to have to win a stage race, right? He looks strong. Tomorrow's a hard stage. It's a good stage for Almeida, actually, a good climb for Almeida because it's a bit like irregular. There's different steps, Arate. So I'm confident that he can win. The team is also really strong. Soler was amazing. Del Toro was really strong also. I think Almeida has this. The second strongest rider in the race is Florian Lipowitz. He's very strong, but he's not riding very smart. He's extremely generous in his efforts, and see him do certain attacks that are really, you would think, okay, if you're that strong, man, come on. Or isn't there just somebody in the car that can tell you, be conservative? In his favor, this guy only races since 3 years. He was a biathlon athlete 4 years ago. So he's incredibly strong. This guy already second in Paris-Nice, Last year we saw him, I think, the first time in the big public in Tour of Romandy. But he's the second strongest rider in the race.
He I saw a weird quote from him after. So there's a time trial to start it. 3 guys tie, basically. Max Schachmann, Joao Almeida, Florian Lipowitz all finish on the same time, like fractions of a second different. Mm-hmm. And Florian Lipowitz was like, well, I'm just here to support my teammates. And then on stage 3, he seemed to be like working for his teammates, but it's like, hey, what is going on here? You're the leader of the team because you're literally in front of everybody.
You can look in different ways at it, right? He did say after the time trial that he was there in support for Vlasov and Dani Martinez. 2 riders who have already had great results. Let's not forget Dani Martinez already won the Tour of the Basque Country in the past. He was second in the Giro, won the Dauphiné. So, great palmarès already, but obviously these guys are not in their top shape. And I think personally that, it looks to me that they've put Lipowitz in this position of, okay, you start in support to not put the pressure on him. Let's not forget, he's young, just got second in Paris. It's easy for the German media, at least, to bombard him directly as, the new German hope, which he probably is, but it's hard to deal with that. So I think initially the plan was, okay, Lipowitz, just take it easy. We'll see how it goes. But, the responsibility is not on you. And then the road puts, of course, everybody in his place.
What are we reading? Like Martinez finished 15 minutes down on stage 3.
Yeah, obviously, really, really counter performance. I don't know. Something must be wrong.
And he's supposed to go to the Giro. I assume in a support role, right, for Primoz?
I would think so. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I saw. I don't know if Red Bull takes Primoz and Dani Martinez and Jay Hindley to the Giro. If they do,
I see Hindley on the start list actually. Yeah. So it's
So obviously, it's their big goal of the season, which is, I think, very smart because it's very unlikely they're going to win the Tour. But anyway, Martinez, there must be something wrong. He's been in Colombia quite a bit. So I don't know if he just came back now. I don't remember that, but there must be something not right because this is not the level of Dani Martinez. Neither is it the level of Vlasov, by the way. Vlasov should be top 5 in this race, at least.
Yeah. Vlasov is still a very good rider, but like the rise of Lipowitz, it's made it like even like at Paris-Nice where you're like, man, Vlasov, I feel like should be up there, and then he's just like not. He's like being surpassed by young talents inside his own team. Yeah. Well,
So and then the one thing I don't know. If we want to debate about that, the win, then disqualification, and then win again of Alex Aramburu.
I do want to talk about this because it's insane that they disqualified him.
Typical professional cycling managed by the UCI, right? So there's a group of all the favorites. There's some attacks at the end. Aramburu attacks. He's the local rider, knows the roads perfectly. All the other riders go off the road book and then of instructions probably of people of the team who have been sent ahead to scout the last few 5-10 kilometers and then report to the team car, right? Aramburu attacks with Almeida, I guess. Almeida misses one roundabout, or kind of misses the roundabout, or has to slow down quite a lot. And then the last roundabout comes. Almeida goes to the left and Aramburu goes to the right. Now, at the last moment, he sees a barrier, which is only on half of the road. So it was blocking half the road, and then the other half of the road was free. It goes that way. It's a bit shorter, takes 2 seconds, takes a bit more seconds, wins the stage. Finally, they disqualify him because he has not followed the course, the indicated course. So, of course, big disappointment. And you could say, okay, well, if there was somebody there waving, there was a barrier. It was not completely closed. So I think the organizers were at fault for not, if they didn't want the riders to pass there, they should have closed it.
Yeah. I feel like this is the second time this has happened, like in 2 months, like close the road that's not supposed to be taken. And the signage was not clear. Like if you look
and then they disqualify him based on the rule that says the riders, it's the responsibility of the riders to know the course, right? Then so UCI commissars. So these are not the organizers who make that decision, right? Every race has UCI commissars who make the decision. Though the UCI commissar, disqualifies, gives yellow cards, gives fines a lot lately, and so unfortunately, the local hero Aramburu is not even allowed to go on the podium. It's Romain Grégoire who goes on the podium as the stage winner, finished second. And then a few hours later, they reinstate Alex Aramburu because the road book specifically said that this roundabout needs to be taken on the right. And there have been no instructions in the directors' meeting before the race to say otherwise. So the organizer was at fault. UCI commissaire, and then you could say, it's ridiculous, but you could say, okay, if now finally Aramburu followed the road, then all the others have to be disqualified because they didn't follow the road.
That's a good point.
You can't do this, but if they really want to follow their own rules, that's what they should do. But it's, of course, you can't imagine that. But anyway, it was a bad show. Finally, I think it's fair that they gave the victory back to Aramburu, who is riding incredibly strong. And on top of that is the local guy. He's a Basque guy. So that was for me until now a bit the highlight of the Tour of the Basque Country.
I mean, even setting all that aside, super impressive ride from him. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. He seemed like, man, the sky's the limit for him. He goes to Cofidis. Like, I don't know how this is going. I've seen this story before, but man, he looked incredible in that finish.
Yeah.
That was
he's
very
a really
cool
good rider. By the way, we should stop saying Tour of the Basque Country, Spencer. That's already it's Zulia.
It's Zulia. That is actually pretty offensive. We should not do that. Well, we will let you go, Johan, unless you have something else.
No, that's it. Well, we'll be back with the move on Sunday evening after Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be a tough needle to thread because George Hincapie is going to be at the race for his son, Enzo Hincapie. They're going to watch the finish of the senior men's race. Then they're going to go to Paris by train and then hopefully do the show from his hotel room in Paris. Yeah. So hopefully that all works out and we have a show on Sunday for everyone to enjoy.
We'll have a show. We just don't know if George is going to make it or not, but we'll have a show.
Yeah, it might be me or George. We don't know which one will be the third person. But thank you, Johan, and we will talk next week.
Okay, thanks, Spencer. Bye.
All right, bye.